Hey, good evening. This isn't really a live stream, although technically it is a live stream. I'm just being lazy. I don't want to go through an editing process, so I'm just going to say this um, in a way that I don't have to do any editing at all. So first of all, I'm just going to double check, make sure it is on YouTube. And it looks like it's not. Let's try this again. If it doesn't show up on YouTube, I guess it might. Okay, maybe it is. So the reason I'm doing this is simply because I get a lot of people over the last several years that they don't complain. They just say they wish that I was doing videos like I used to. And my response is usually, I'm past that now. It's late in the game. Those videos are still there to watch if you're so inclined. But we had time back then, and I think most people can agree that things are speeding up exponentially and something's coming. I know people have said that for years, but I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So I was thinking about doing some more videos in the same vein as what I used to do. The problem is I have like one idea right now, which is basically making a video on like anti-tracking, because I don't think most people are going to be, if things fall apart, most of us aren't going to be tracking anyone. We're going to try and avoid being tracked. So I might do like a video with I've kind of done stuff like that before in the past, but they were very specific, like traveling at night and like where to sleep, when to sleep, cutting fences, all that kind of stuff. Gray Man. But I will probably go into more detail, like a broad based, like, because I have no way of knowing the percentage of people who will listen to this who live in a city or just outside a city or in populated areas. Um, and I don't know what your plan is. A lot of people might want to defend the castle and just try and lock their home down, and their bug out is actually a bug in. There might be people who plan on getting out. There's a lot of problems with that, depending on the population density of where you're at, whether or not you'll even be able to get out, and what kind of a heads up you're going to get. I mean, if you're really, really lucky and you somehow figure out 24 hours in advance that something's going down and you're privy to information most aren't, yeah, you could probably throw a bunch of stuff in the car and get. But most people are probably going to be caught pretty unaware and trying to skedaddle at that point. Good luck, because there's going to be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or more, depending on where you live, with the same idea. So I do have some ideas for how to at least get a head start on where everybody else will be at that moment. I mean, a lot of people will just freeze, but if you have a plan, like either getting from work to home, or defending your house, setting things up in a quick manner, or getting out, I have thoughts on how I can do videos like that. Another option is for, even if I've done videos on this in the past, I mean, I've been doing this it's been a long time. So some of those videos, I won't say they're dated, but they're dated, and a lot of different information has, come to light since those videos were made. And also some things I've probably changed my perspective on. I just got out before. I didn't want to deal with panic and chaos and all that. So I got out 4 years ago, and I'm in about the safest place I could possibly be. but I wasn't at the time that I made those videos. I think I was in, oh, I lived in Portland, Oregon, and I lived in Texas, Albuquerque. I lived in, cities that are big enough to where getting out would be a problem, and the types and the number of people you would have to deal with, either people just in a panic or people who become violent, was quite a few people. So where I'm at now, it's easier for me to like get like a 30,000 foot view and like have an overview and so some of my stuff that maybe I would have recommended or did recommend, I could probably maybe change a little bit now. So if anybody wanted me to do, basically I'm asking for topics. If you want a video on how to, and I'm not an expert, these are suggestions. Like I said, I'm really good at some things, but other things it's more like discernment and mentally putting myself in a situation and saying, what would I do? And so like the traveling at night and using waterways whenever possible and planning multiple routes ahead of time to get to where you want to go, traveling on the other side of fences just to give you that little bit of barrier. Because if you drive anywhere outside of a city and you see any fields or anything, you're going to see most of the roads are lined with like barbed wire fences or, at least some sort of ranch type fence. And if you're traveling at night, like on foot, like I wouldn't recommend like a bicycle or anything, because if you saw headlights coming, you'd have to get off the road and then you'd have to hide your bike. And it's just too stressful. So I was always saying, go on, get over to the other side of the fence and then go maybe 50 or 100 yards inward, so you're out of any headlight views, and then just basically follow the road / fence line. So stuff like that I just think a lot of people don't think about or haven't thought about. Like they just think about getting from point A to point B, whereas I was like, okay, but now put yourself in that situation. Like you don't just stroll down the street, you're going to want to be as stealthy as possible getting to wherever it is you plan on going. And I don't even know how many people have a bug out location or whether they plan on bugging in, but I have a lot of ideas as far as like, I don't go to a business and work. So, but I have in the past, and I know that a big majority of people's weeks are spent in an office or in a business of some sort. So, I mean, I have ideas for what you can do as far as while you're at work to be ready in case because that's a third of your day every day, and then another third of it might be sleeping. So really it's half your day that you're at work. I would say average at least a half a day that you're awake, you're at wherever you work. So odds are if something goes down, there's a 50-50, well, 33% chance you'll be at work or sleeping or on your downtime or commuting. So it might not be ideal. And the first thought in your head would be like, all my stuff is in a bag in my hall closet. Okay, well, there's ways around that. But so to make this like short, which is too late, if you have a topic you're interested in seeing a video about, and I've done it, I can just do a new one that's like an updated, because I know I have a lot of videos like that, but they're pushed way down. Like you'd have to go next page, next page, next page, next page. And I've even gone as far as like scrolling through my videos, like on my phone, and it's like it hits a wall where it stops. And I know there's videos beyond that. It stops showing videos. So some of those videos that people might find informative, you might not even be able to find anymore. So it wouldn't be bad if I made a updated version. Let me check these. There's comments here. Hold on. I got to see if they're the same comments that are on YouTube as that are on StreamYard. So let's see. Okay, so let's see. Hello, Robert. Thank you. Yeah, I watch other people's videos and I think that they don't get it. They'll get a lot of things right, but and a lot of it is just their theology and how they view the world, and they're wrong about a lot of things. So then they come to conclusions that aren't right. They're not true. And so I try and come at it from a different perspective. But let's see what we got here. Common Man, hello. Like I said, this isn't a scheduled video, and like I said, it's not really. I don't consider it like a live stream as a typical live stream. It's more like I just wanted to get some information out there and get some feedback on whether or not you want me to start making more videos, and if so, what kind of topics you're interested in. And I'm just too lazy to do it, like record all the audio and then edit it in a program and put like pictures and all that. I just don't have the desire to do that. So I figured I'd let YouTube do all the work by recording this for me. Favorite videos, Art of the Zero. See, like, I don't even remember that. Staple stitch gun, that I remember. I actually had to use that. My suture gun. My dad was in the hospital in Oregon, and they were going to finally let him out, but they wanted to put him into a assisted living home, and I said no. Fly him down here. He's going to live with me. And so, he was 80 years old and frail, and he had very thin skin, and he wasn't doing well, and he fell multiple times. And if you have much experience treating or taking care of the elderly, they can like be standing there and just basically crumple, like they get dizzy or whatever, and they will receive an injury that will blow your mind. He walked super slow. Like, it wasn't like he was an old man and very frail, and he, I guess, stumbled and went down, and I guess his forearm hit like a table on the way down, which, he kind of would fall in slow motion, and he banged his arm, and you think, ow, that'll leave a mark. And I looked at his arm, and from his wrist to his elbow was split wide open. Like wide open. And my first thought was, I stopped the bleeding with the direct pressure. And then when I saw the wound, it was like, whoa, like I could see like inside his arm. So I rinsed it with hydrogen peroxide, and then I got my suture gun out, and I put about 7 or 8 sutures all up his arm. And a week later, I popped him back out and good to go. So yeah, I'm glad I made that video, but I'm even more glad that I have this suture gun and was able to actually use it in a practical manner that was helpful. And I had to do that to him several times. That was the worst, because for some reason, like I said, it split him from his elbow to his wrist. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. But it's like, I live in the middle of nowhere. It's over 80 miles to a hospital. And I just wasn't going to take him all the way to a hospital for his arm being split open when I knew that I had what I could hear, I needed to take care of it. And like I said, it worked great. Sutured him right up. A week later, took the sutures out, and I never even noticed like really a scar. I didn't, once I took the sutures out, I never noticed again, like, oh, how's your arm doing? It just seemed like it was fine. So, but yeah, that was a good video. The Art of the Zero, I'm assuming it has something to do with zeroing a rifle or something, but don't remember specifics on that. Figure out how to get these roadrunners around my house to come to me like you did. Well, I was living in the city, so they were like city roadrunners. So they were already used to like chaos and people and traffic, but they didn't just like come jump in my lap. But um, I just used those mealworms, the grub worms. I think they call them super worms from like Petco or something. And like at first they would come, 50 feet away or whatever, and I would just throw one out there. And it took, it probably took me, I don't know, a week, maybe less, because I wasn't like I did it every day, but, um, and then they get to where they see you, they know your car, and they're like, that dude feeds me. And I would get out of my car and they'd just be there. And then I would get them closer and closer, and I would toss, the super worm 10 feet, and then I'd toss it 5 feet. And then finally I would just drop it like right in front of me. And they're hesitant at first. It's just do it over. And they're smart. They're really smart. And the next thing I did was, I gave him like two and he was digging it. And so I just put one in the palm of my hand and held it out. And he just stared at it for a while, and he looked at me and he looked at my hand, and then he came up and he kind of grabbed it really quick. And then you just keep doing that. And within a week or so, I mean, I have pictures of them where they're in my house. Like I had the front door open and they'd come inside the house for worms. And sometimes they'd just be standing on the bench outside the front window, just staring at me. And I'd be like, oh, the roadrunner's hungry. But like out where I'm at now, I see roadrunners. It's a lot more spread out here, and there's like coyotes and stuff. So they're much more cautious. I've never seen it, and I've got a Great Pyrenees and 5 other dogs. And so they don't come like on my property. But when I'm driving somewhere, I'll see them, but not as much. There's just a lot of space here, and I think they're very spread out. But yeah, it was cool being able to do that, to hand feed roadrunners, but I don't think that'll ever happen again. But it's just baby steps. And like I said, it doesn't take long, and they really like those super worms. So if you get them to where they'll come within 30, 50 feet of you, you'll have them eaten out of your hand within a week or so. You're an electrician. Buy some Kleindyks because they are the best hardened steel to cut with. Is that like in lieu of bolt cutters? Or I don't know what Kleindyks are, but what would you do for a Kleindyke? My wife worked in a retirement home for a year when she started her medical career. We have a software for the RO. Yeah, they told me, the professionals, that he had 2 weeks to live and they were just going to put him in assisted living. And I was like, no. So I got him flown down here, and he lived in my house for 13 months. And I do believe that if he had gone into that assisted living, he probably would have lasted 2 weeks, but he got over a year. So I regret nothing. It was the right thing to do. And I think it's our responsibility to take care of our parents when they reach that age. Unfortunately, my mom, she went quickly. I never had an opportunity to get her down here, but I saw a chance for him to come live with me, and not in a sterile, strange place that I know he would have detested. And so I jumped at it. But yeah, if you live in I don't know, I think the city roadrunners were just easier to tame, because the only real predator they have to, I mean, they do have like, there's hawks, in the city, and you have dogs, but roadrunners are really smart. But in the country, they've just got, death from above. They've got coyotes out here. We have, we have wolves, we have mountain lions, we have bears, we have badgers, we have foxes. There's just, I understand they're, pretty skittish, but it was just a perfect situation I was in at the time. And I didn't set out to like hand feed roadrunners. It was just, I have a thing for animals. Like I said, I have 6 full-grown dogs. Right now I have 6 like 2-month-old puppies, and I have 6 like 1-week-old puppies. And then I have chickens and cats and stuff. And I'm just I like animals, and so I just, in my head, it's just like, oh man, I wonder what they do for food. So I was like, I bet he's hungry. So I just started stocking up on those super worms. And it's probably not good for them, because why would they have to hunt for food if somebody just feeds them? But I didn't do it for very long, just a few months, to on and off. I would feed them, but yeah, I just I have a soft spot for animals. So, but yeah, it's not going to happen out here. Oh, the Chuck Norris thing. What was he shooting? I don't even remember. I remember like the clips of Chuck Norris, and then he'd shoot, and then I don't, what happened after that. I don't remember what he was. It was like somebody falling down, or like he was shooting him, or I don't even remember. But yeah, see, I don't even remember most of the videos because they're so buried that and I do have a folder where I try and keep a copy of like all the videos I've made, but I don't look at it. It's just backup in case my YouTube channel gets nuked or something. I can always like say, well, I can take these 20 videos and post them to Rumble or something, because Rumble I have videos on, but not. I think Odyssey had like it automatically just started uploading all my videos off YouTube, but I honestly don't know if Odyssey still exists. I heard it was gone. I don't know. It might be. I don't pay attention to it. Frogs. They eat the frogs. That's funny. I did see him in the city when I was interacting with them. I would see him with lizards a lot. And I have seen them running down the road with a snake in their mouth, but it's a lot of work. And sometimes I figure that you just get a treat, and they really like those super worms. So, but anyway, anybody, like, my videos don't get hardly any views. Compared to my subscriber count, I get like 200 views on a video, or I don't know, something like that. I don't really pay attention because I don't care, but there's obviously kind of a lockdown on my channel to a degree. So I'm hoping that somebody eventually comes across this, and if they have like, oh, I'd like to see a video about how this would work, and if everything falls apart, and I would assume that, like, in a lot of cases, I'd be like, oh yeah, I have that video, but yeah, I can do an updated version. That's I've used different software programs, and one I really liked and I got really good at it. And that's some of the videos, like when I would do my, what did I call those things? The viewer comment ones. Those were tricky because there was a lot of editing and a lot of stuff I had to do. And I don't know if it's like something went wrong with that. And it was like, I think it was like a, what do you call it? Like a Tor, or what do they call that? We basically, it was illegal software I downloaded, basically. So I couldn't like really reinstall it, because when you do those file sharing things, if you find something you really like, a lot of times, if you look again, you'll never find it. It just depends. They're like file sharing programs where people would put like the applications with like the crack codes or the serial numbers or whatever. And I got really good with one of the video editing things I got off there. And then when it, like, something happened to it, I don't remember if it like corrupted, or I got a new laptop, and I was like, well, I can't transfer this over. And so I had to get a totally different one. And now I have a couple. One I do pay for it. I have Corel Video Studio, and I'm okay with it. And then I use that CapCut, but I don't like it. I haven't spent much time with it, but I could probably do better quality on some of if I redid some videos or subjects. I think the videos might look like they were made in the last year or so, as opposed to some of my videos. I think look like they were made in the 90s. But let's see what we got here. What vids? I don't know what you're talking about. Where are your vids that you speak of? They're on my channel. They're just you just have to go next page, next page, next page. And like I said, I've done that before, and it ran out of pages. It wouldn't show me anymore, although I know there's more videos. So I think one time I went through and just took every video I could get a hold of, and I downloaded it to an external drive, and then I keep a copy of every one I make now. It's just like an archive. So I do have most, if not all of them, somewhere. It's just I think they're hard to find on YouTube. And there's no way I'm going to sit there and upload every single one to Rumble, because the Rumble upload process is kind of annoying. And it would take me forever, because I think there's over 300 videos on my channel, something like that. But yeah, so I'm more than happy if I find the time to remake topics that I've done before, but updated and with, I mean, some of the things that I said on some of those videos or some of the suggestions, I may not agree with anymore, just because of the way the world has changed. Is like that might not be the best option if, in a certain situation, and maybe there's something better. But like I said, I live by myself out in the middle of nowhere with just my animals, and so I have a lot of time to think, and so I run a lot of scenarios through my head while I'm doing things. So I come up with a lot of and I'll get fixated on one thing, like, oh, what if this, and then I'll just think of every possible angle and scenario, and then some of them I'll be like, yeah, well, that would make sense. I'd probably do that. But pretty much all of my firearms I've painted. I have, trying to think, maybe two that I didn't paint. It's just because they're shotguns and they have like natural wood finish, and they're modern, but they look really nice. I mean, I go for like the battle distressed, like battle worn look. Like I like to paint, like say an AR, kind of like a coyote, with maybe some browns and light colors, and then I actually prefer it to get scuffed up. I don't like it to look all shiny and new, and I like new weapons that look like they've been through hell. But the ones that I've painted that I don't really use, they're just like on a gun rack or something, they look awesome. Actually, all of them do, but the one I like them to get scuffed up. So I'm not the best person to ask, but I mean, the paint's not coming off. It's more like scratches and stuff, because when I'm out in the wild, and I have gut racks on my ATVs, and I just throw them on there. I just throw them on the back of my truck and stuff. So when they start getting like kind of scuffed and scraped, that's when I think they look really cool. But I have the Duracoat and like the air gun and all that stuff, and I don't use it anymore. I just use spray paint cans, and I think by using spray paint, they look way cooler. I've gotten pretty good at making them look old and scuffed up, pretty much. I mean, I have like ARs that look like they've been to hell and back, and I've never shot them. Like they still have like the manufactured gun grease in them, and they look like they've been to Fallujah. So, but that's, like I said, I like them like that. So, but yeah, the paint does hold up, especially for what I want it to do, because I don't want it to look like you just bought it in the store and it's all shiny. I don't like it. I don't like guns that look like they're shiny and new. Like I just got another one I have not painted. I have an AK-47 that I'm not going to paint, because it came with like olive green and black, and it looks cool, and I don't really use it. I just wanted to have an AK. But yeah, like my last AR I bought like just a few weeks ago, I never shot it. I put like a red dot on it in a sling and painted it. I haven't shot it yet, but it looks really cool. It's all desert, like coyote tan, and it looks good. But if it gets all chipped up and scraped, I'll like it even more. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't. Most of mine, I keep. I don't like. I don't know. Like I said, I have an ATV with gun racks on them. I'll throw them in there. Sometimes I have gun racks like in the window in the back of the truck. But I mean, I don't bang them up that much. So far, no issues with the spray paint. They're not gummy or sticky or anything. They're awesome actually. I like them a lot. And I do the same with my pistols. They look like they've been in war, except for my like wheel guns. Like I have some revolver like cowboy pistols. Those wouldn't look like good if I did that. I leave those like gunmetal with the wooden grips and stuff. But I think all my other pistols are just like they look like they've been beat to hell, but they're in great shape. I have bought some more things lately that like I don't know if people think about. Like I bought a flare gun and like extra flares so I can light up the area if I need light in situations like that. I've got a bump helmet with a night vision, the eyepiece. I don't know if I'm sure there's a name for it. It folds down and you got night vision, lift it back up. And I do go out at night with those sometimes and just get used to where the buttons are that do different things in the dark. Because I've got like some night vision binoculars. I've got like 2 pairs, and I velcroed a battery bank onto the bottom of them with a short USB cable, so I don't need to worry about batteries. That battery bank will go for ever, and then I just charge it on the USB port, and it's full again, and so I don't have to deal with batteries. But both of them, and they're really good. They work great, but they both have different buttons on them, like where the zoom or the power or the record video, where those buttons are different on both of them. So I do take stuff like that out in the dark and practice. Yeah, I've got a couple of night vision scopes for my rifles, and I took them off. I actually didn't like them. I just used the either the night vision binoculars or the bump helmet with the night vision on it to see, and then I know where I'm aiming. But because I have the night vision goggles on my helmet, it's the one eye, so it comes down and just covers one eye, and so I still have the other eye, and so I can look through one with night vision, and the other one my other eye I can use on the scope. But I don't know, it works for me. Yeah, the only thing I don't like about the night vision is when you turn it off or flip it back up, you're blind in that eye until you get your vision back for the for night. And so what I have to do is basically if I flip that up or turn it off, I have to close my left eye and let it adjust and just use my right eye. So it's kind of wonky. But if I had the double one that came down and did both eyes, and then I flipped that up, I would be like blind. So it's a lot of practice, and I don't know, maybe I'll just shoot one of the flares up in the air so I can see instead of using the night vision. Night vision is cool. People always talk about, night vision this, but when you have it and you use it, I don't think it's as cool as like they make it look in the movies and stuff. I mean, maybe if you had like newest generation military or FLIR or something, you'd probably be like, wow, this rocks. But just like, I don't know, what's the night vision, like I paid a lot for it. In my opinion, it wasn't cheap. I think the one on the bump helmet was over $300, but and you can see great with it, but like I said, there's these negatives, like when you turn it off, you can't see. Um, and the other thing is, it does, even the night vision binoculars, if they've got a screen, like they glow. So um, when you're using it, yeah, you can see in the dark, but somebody else could look over and there's a glow. Like part of your eye would be glowing, the outside of your eye or the side of your face, because that screen is an inch from your eyeball and it's lighting up part of your face. And the binoculars are even worse because they have like a 4-inch screen. So if you're looking at it, it looks great, but you're basically lighting up your face in the dark. So uh, people that are like, I really want night vision, I'm like, I don't know. I think there's some other things you could spend money on that you would actually use more and you would enjoy more. I'm glad I have it, but I would rather have night vision on my drones, which I don't because that's really expensive. But um, drone night vision to me, or thermal or something, would be, I wouldn't complain about that. I would like that. But the drones, even the DJIs that have like the thermal or the IR cameras, I think they're over $3,000. And it's just like, I just can't see justifying that. It'd be awesome. I mean, if somebody gave me one, I'd definitely thank them and keep it. But I've got other things to focus on than a night vision drone. I just don't really think I'll need it much out here. I'm really, really isolated. So, but anyway, yeah, I don't know. I'm just rambling now. Yeah, I mean, that would be ideal, is to have someone who's designated with like the night vision. And then like my bump helmet has, the ear, I don't know what you even call it, the earmuff. They're like, I have one that is electronic ears, and I have one that's they're not electronic ears, they're ear protection, but they have a microphone, and it actually connects to a Baofeng radio, and it has like a push button on it, so you can talk. So yeah, if you had somebody with a Baofeng ham radio and the night vision, and you were out and about communicating with them, that would be ideal. Unfortunately for me, I'm here by myself, so I don't have a radio guy or a night vision guy. It's just me. So, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stuff that, like, if I ever had a tribe that needed a place and showed up here, that, God sent them here and they were destitute and needed a place, and they were good people, I could always say, I have stuff for plenty of people that, like, hey, you're a night vision guy. Here's your night vision. Here's your radio. And here's a firearm. And here's ammo. And here's this. And here's that. And here's a whatever. I've got more stuff than for just me. But I've always thought that it's possible that the Lord could send someone here in like really bad times that gets displaced and is basically running for their lives, and somehow he guides them here, because you wouldn't find it otherwise. But so when I go to thrift stores, like in a city, and I see like a really nice, a good, like a tactical jacket or a good winter coat, and they're in really good shape, but like they're nowhere near my size, they're either way too big or they're way too small, I still get them. I could like clothe all kinds of different people. And like I said, I have more food than I mean, I don't know how long the food would last, because I have a freeze dryer. I just made like 4 huge batches of, I think I used 72 eggs. I made green chili scrambled eggs with cheese, and then I freeze dried it and I put it in Mylar. So I'm making basically MREs. So I'm ready, but I don't want things to go south, but I don't see any way at this point they're not. I mean, all the signs are pointing at things escalating quickly. I'm not even going to get in on this drone thing. It's either a very well thought out psyop where they give you clues to think, oh, it's this, but then they throw something in there to go, oh, that doesn't make sense with that. Maybe it's this. And it's like, well, that doesn't make sense either. And then now they've thrown in, this is happening like in China, like Argentina, like all these other countries, they're experiencing the exact same thing. So then it's like, well, okay, so they're not sniffing for nuclear material on the East Coast because it's happening, not only in other states, but in other countries. And so then you're like, well, maybe it's this. And then you're like, and the part that's really weird is if it was all one type of thing, it would be a little easier to sort out. I think still that it's about locking down with more regulations and laws. But I'm just going off people's videos because I don't see anything out here, but some of the videos are clearly drones, although some of them look weird. Like the lights they're not normal. They're not like a DJI or something you ordered off Amazon. They're clearly quadcopters, but they're big. They've got really funky light systems. Some of them even have spotlights. There's clearly helicopters in some of the videos. There's clearly aircraft in some of the videos. And there's what appears to be orbs. Now, the orbs are tough because anything at a distance, if you try and zoom in on it and it doesn't focus, you're going to get what looks like a ball of light. But some of them appear like as they're zooming in, it doesn't seem to be like a drone that's suddenly, turning into a ball because your phone or your camera is out of focus. Like I think there are 4 or 5 different types of things in the air right now, and that's where it causes the confusion. Do you watch Black Scout Survival? No, never heard of it. Have you limed eggs? I do. I glass eggs, but they don't last long enough. Like, one of the problems I have here is the altitude and the lack of humidity, and the fact that I don't have any place really where I have a steady temperature. It either can get really cold where I'm storing things, or it can get ridiculously hot where I'm storing things. And when you glass eggs, they like it to be like a consistent, like if I had a root cellar, it'd be pretty cool. But I mean, I know people that can pull it off and they last for like a year. But the last time I glassed eggs, I had them for 6 months or so, and I opened them and I had to get rid of all of them. It didn't work for me. At least not to the point where I trusted like I would eat one. Some of them had broken. It got messy, but I just use a freeze dryer because I like the 25 to 30 year shelf life, and just being able to add hot water and you've got your stuff back. I don't believe in nukes. No, I do not. None of the nuke narrative makes any sense, especially the fallout. That part nobody would do. I mean, nobody would launch anything that basically made a big chunk of land and stuff uninhabitable for 10,000 years is their claim or whatever. But they're too unpredictable. You don't know what the wind's going to do. That fallout could blow right back in your face. In the countries, it could poison the water supply, aquifers. It's just there's too many unknowns. It doesn't make sense that anything like that would ever be invented. I don't believe they made it. I don't believe they split an atom. They've never even seen an atom, if they even exist, if even such a thing as an atom exists, because they've never actually like seen or photographed an atom. So how are you going to split it? I mean, the whole thing's nonsense. And somebody would have used one by now if they existed. I think there's things far worse that don't kill everything, and then if you want, you can just stroll on in and occupy it or whatever. There's so many ways to kill people. That's just all science fiction. That's a scare tactic for control. How many people are high up the chain? People know that they're not real. I think most people do think they're real that are like in quote unquote power, people in government. I mean, the less people that know, the better. Obviously, you're not going to tell like, congressmen and senators and not even the president. You're not going to tell them that it's fake because you have too many options and ways to control people if they believe in it, including, say, a sitting president. So no, I don't think most people do know. I think it's very, very few people know. Just like most people at NASA think that they went to the moon, because you're not going to tell everybody. Everything works and flows a lot easier if everybody just goes along with your narrative. You don't want to take a chance that someone's going to go off the reservation, so you dupe them all, the people and the employees. And like Nagasaki and Hiroshima clearly weren't nuked. They were firebombed. People were selling sandwiches on the street like 3 days later. I mean, according to their narrative, Chernobyl, which is a wildlife preserve now, Fukushima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima should have another just shy of 10,000 years before anybody could even go in there. It's all nonsense, but I do believe that there's weapons far worse. I think the rods of God, those titanium things that can fire down from high altitude, the dews, even sonic weapons that can drop people to their knees, make them go insane. I mean, even the weapons they use for riot dispersion, they use frequencies and stuff that it's far cleaner and it's far more effective. And I mean, you could even use some of those things and nobody, like with the dews in Maui and Paradise, California, and I think where was it, Cuba or somewhere. You can't really prove that they did anything. It's just they just say it was a wildfire. If you nuke something, the whole world knows you nuke somebody, and they're pretty much everybody's going to hate you. So these other weapons where they can just fire an invisible beam down from high altitude and burn a city down, they'll just blame it on a gas leak or something, But yeah, and the rods of God are like earthquake makers. They just come down, hit the ground so hard at such a velocity that they basically just create a shockwave that just levels everything. No radiation, no fallout, nothing. I mean, that stuff was a fear tactic they used in like the 40s and 50s to keep people in line. Now, and they still run that narrative, but they don't need it because they could fire like a rod of God down and just say, oh, this place just had an earthquake. Nobody's going to, it would hit so fast and so hard. Nobody would see it. And you could take out, like, say, all of San Francisco in seconds and no fallout. So yeah, a lot of it's nonsense. But anyway, this kind of got off track from where I was going. I just wanted to let people know that I am considering making more videos like I used to, because I think we're at a point now where people need to see it, because there's so much going on. I mean, I don't deal with it because out here it's so dead quiet and so peaceful. I can think, but I can imagine people in the chaos right now, they probably can't even think straight. I mean, it's just one thing after another, and just getting through a day has got to be a chore. So I think there's people that could use some information that they probably don't even know they could use. So if I start making some of these videos, I guess my only request, besides people suggesting topics, is that you share it, because a lot of these people, they're not going to stumble upon it because my stuff, I'm not on the approved list. So people aren't going to just stumble upon like a video on how to avoid being tracked if you're trying to escape. And there's individuals looking for you. So that video is not going to just pop up on their feed. So if people can share stuff, that would be awesome. I don't do that ridiculous like, share, subscribe thing. I've never said that once in a video. I don't care. I would rather somebody who gets it, understands it on their own, goes, oh, I know some people that could benefit from this knowledge and share it on your own. I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's ridiculous. It's the same reason I don't monetize. I don't want you to have to sit through an ad. You get enough ads on a daily basis from every angle. If you want to watch a video of mine for 5 minutes or whatever, I don't want you to sit through an ad. Okay, that's like the worst. To me, that's like the worst thing I could do to you. It's just like, hey, watch this ad so I can get like a percentage of like a penny and take 30 seconds of your life away. It's silly. I don't. People that monetize, I think, is ridiculous because you should give information to people because you want to and because you think it's important, not because it's your job. If you rely on YouTube income to like feed your family, you made a wrong turn somewhere. Your heart's in the wrong place. But yeah, I have an ad blocker on my laptop, but on my Fire Stick, Xbox, phone, I don't have anything like that. So every time an ad comes on, I either mute it or skip it if it allows me to skip it. A lot of times if I go to watch a video and it comes on and it's got a 30-second ad and you can't break out of it, I just back out of the video. I don't even watch it. It's like, I'm not going to watch your stupid video. Can't be that important. I have like, that's one of my main issues is ads. I don't think I've ever seen an ad where I was like, you know what, I got to go buy that. I've never like saw an ad and bought something. I buy things for different reasons, and I have different criteria, not because some channel put it on. It was on their YouTube channel. I was like, no. I do my own research if it's a specific item that I'm interested in. I don't need them to tell me. You get it. Yeah, YouTube and Rumble. I hate to say it, Rumble has gone ad silly over like the last several months. It was tolerable, but even Rumble now is like, it just takes you out of the flow right when you're really getting some information. Like, oh yeah, okay. And it's like, bam. And it's like, are you kidding me? And it's sad. But anyway, what do you guys think about Find a Group? Well, are you talking about like a group of like-minded people in your area, or like a group of people on the internet? I mean, what kind of group are you looking for? I have to wait for the response because it's yes. Well, if you're looking for people near you, I have Operation Safe Space that I've been doing for several years, but it's only got, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 cities where there's a point of contact. But I mean, there's a lot of the country that's not involved or, participating. But depending on where you live, there might be somebody on the webpage that has their email information that you can reach out to if there's somebody near you. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I might be able to flash up the list of cities here. Okay, let me see if I can share this. Is it? I'm going to do. I think it's this one. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. I'll read off the cities to you, just because I don't know how big this looks on your screen. The cities on here: Buffalo, New York; Trenton, New Jersey; Lewiston, Idaho; Phoenix, Arizona; Geneva, Minnesota; Amherst, New Hampshire; Salem, Oregon; Green Bay, Wisconsin; West Bend, Wisconsin; Las Vegas; Harrison, Arkansas; Poughkeepsie, New York; Augusta, Maine; Great Falls, Montana; Cedar Rapids, Iowa; Clovis, California; Dayton, Ohio; Cincinnati, Ohio; Wichita, Kansas, Caldwell, Idaho, Greeley, Colorado, and Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if any of those places, I mean, those people still live in those towns. I don't know if they survived COVID. They might be dead. Who knows? Um, I don't know, but those people gave me their contact information in their city at that time, and that's what I put up. So, um, I don't think there used to be a contact in Houston, Texas, but they, I think, moved or something. Um, yeah. Oh man, it's really tough because like I think everybody should have a tribe. But man, I mean, everybody's broken and everybody's a liar now. I mean, the odds of someone like backstabbing you during the whole, I mean, are almost 100%. So, I mean, I would pray on it that God sends these people into your life because they're out there, but they're probably really weary, like I am and like you may be as well. So you just got to pray that he sends righteous, good people your way. People are a damn mess right now. Like I said, there's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 people that I literally trust to the point where, you know, that's about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them, like, turned on you. It's just people are a mess, and so many people are broken right now. I mean, they're just like husks, like empty vessels. They're just broken, and so many people. It's about me, me, me. And this, it's sort of like I wouldn't say the internet. I would say social media has turned a lot of people, especially stuff like TikTok and Instagram and those kind of things have made people so narcissistic, and it's all about them. And it's just like, what can I get? I need clicks, and it does nothing for you, but it's like this sickness. And so, when things fall apart, I think it's going to be mind blowing to watch how many people just crumble. Even like masculinity, like they've demonized masculinity. They've used chemicals. They used, jabs, all these things to make men into like these little sissy girls now. So I feel bad for like, I mean, a lot of the women are a complete mess too. You got like the OnlyFans type and the Instagram types. That's all they care about is clicks and views and narcissism. But there's a lot of women out there who would do anything for like a good, strong, protective man. They put out this narrative that women want to be like single and like working in a cubicle and have a degree. Women at their core want to be mothers and wives and run a household and be safe and protected, and probably preferably away from the chaos of the city. And I feel sorry for those women because I can imagine like if there's a woman out there who's like, I just want a good like Christian strong man who's a protector, and like, good luck. I mean, those guys are either out away from the city, they've already got a family, they've got kids, and I mean basically they're taken, or they want nothing to do with a city girl or anybody that's like, if they had an OnlyFans page even for like a month, or they're like big on Instagram or something, these types of men that these women wish they could meet want nothing to do with them. Like the whole trad wife thing is really true. I mean, most based men want a trad wife. They don't want an Instagram model. They just don't. And so the good women who are, especially the ones stuck in cities, and you see their videos where they're crying because, I work 40 hours a week. I work 2 jobs and I can't pay rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. And they're a mess. They're broken. They're crying. And they would give anything to like live on a ranch house out in the country with chickens and some goats and a garden. But I mean, I don't know. They're not going to find them on on the internet, and they're not going to find them in the city. So, I mean, it's really kind of it's a tough situation for a lot of people. I don't even remember what I started talking about. Oh yeah, people are just they're broken. I think, they're just going through the motions on a daily basis, just trying to survive. And it's not even bad yet. That's the worst part. Like, they think that things are bad now. I have really bad news for them, because things are about to go high and to the right. But if you believed the beast system and what Satan offers you, and you thought that that was what you should, go to college for 4 years, get in debt, get a crappy job in a cubicle, and go to the bar on Friday and Saturday nights and get hammered and sleep with strangers. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. They bought into a system that was designed to break them, and they're broken. Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. I think most women I find repulsive, and I'm sure that most women find the majority of men out there right now absolutely repulsive. And that I think that's one of the reasons that women justify abortion when it's clearly murdering a baby, is because the thought of raising the child of one of these men that they basically got with just because they were drunk, but want nothing to do with, because like they clearly would be a horrible father. They clearly wouldn't protect you under any circumstances. They'd either ball up and start crying, or just run away screaming. The thought of them raising that child, knowing who the father was, that's how they justify these horrible actions, instead of just abstaining and getting away from people like that, and getting away from the environment that pushes that kind of behavior. So these people are kind of like stuck. And now with the economy the way it is, it's not like you can even save up and go, oh, I want to, I'm going to save up and I'm going to get a camper and live on land and build it slowly. They can't even pay their rent. So the days of, I'm just going to save up and then I'm going to get out of here. You're going to end up going to another apartment in another city, maybe. But that's not that's a lateral move. That's not a vertical move. Well, people have lost their connection to God, and so they view everything in the material and the earthly, and it has really bad impact on their mental health, because they don't know. They've been taught that God is a joke, that whole thing, religion's, it's all man-made, and it's just, control method. And a lot of the churches now are. So I don't blame people who look at what's out there and go, oh my gosh, these churches, these people are insane. They're teaching things that aren't biblical. They're all about, churches are horrible. They've been infiltrated. And then I think the big thing that really broke the churches was the 501c3, because once these churches get their tax-free exempt status, they're not going to rock the boat. And so they're going to do the peace-loving, friendly, hippie, new age Jesus, instead of telling people who Jesus really was, and talk about the actual history of what happened in the past in the Bible, and how that's carried forth, and what's we're seeing today is a direct relation to Genesis 3 all the way back. It's happening today. They're not gonna say that, because they're gonna get their hands slapped. They're gonna get their 501c3 removed, and this is not going to happen. So Satan infiltrated the churches in multiple ways. There was an article that just came out recently that said 70% of pastors admit to viewing porn. And I'm like, well, those are the ones who admitted it. 70%. That means 95% of pastors look at porn. I mean, it's a fallen world. And the sooner you understand, you're not going to fix it with material or Babylonian methods. Like Jesus said, be in this world, but not of it. You can't, if you love any part of this world, you've already lost. You have to understand that we are just passing through. And this place to me is so foreign. I don't recognize this isn't my home. I'm blessed to have this land out here in the middle of nowhere with my animals and stuff, but the world is fallen, and people who think Trump's going to come in and wave his little magic wand and fix everything are insane. But yeah, before Christ returns, there will be a great falling away. You're correct. And I think that's going to have to do with when Trump reveals who he really is. A lot of people are going to short circuit. And when the tribulation starts and they weren't magically whisked away in a vapor cloud to avoid the tribulation, they're going to short. Those are the people who are going to fall away. Is the people who put all their faith in Trump and found out he's not what he told him he was, and the people who don't really worry or concern themselves with anything going on in the world because they're going to be raptured and they won't have to deal with it. Those are the people who are going to have. That's going to be the great falling away. Yeah, a church should never mention the word money. Like that should. Do you think that Christ at any point during his ministry ever talked about money? He didn't even have a church. He walked around on foot. He was the church, So these fancy buildings with all their pagan symbology, those aren't churches. The churches are the remnant of Christ, the people who love him more than anything, themselves, their kids, their wife, their husband, their parents, money. Nothing is more important than Christ. That's his church. These buildings are ridiculous. Jesus didn't go into buildings. They had temples, but and they had synagogues, which he only went in there to just tear him a new one. Yeah, the Trump spell is in my opinion, it's the strong delusion that God is sending is Trump. He's more than just the strong delusion, but that's one of the things he is. And if you read the scripture about the strong delusion that's sent and what that means for the people who fall for it, basically says that they're not in the Lamb's book of life. And to me, the two scariest parts of the whole Bible is the part where it says that if you behave these certain ways or do these certain things, that you will not be in the Lamb's book of life. And when Jesus says to you that he turns away from you and spits you out of his mouth and says he never knew you. To me, that's the two most terrifying things in the entire Bible. And I think that the majority of people right now are going to get spit out of his mouth, and he's going to turn away from them when they come crawling to him. And I was attending a church here, and they're great people, and it's a country thing out in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, okay, let me give this a shot. And it was nice. But then I realized, we're in the end times right now. I don't think anybody can deny we're in the end times. There's prophecy happening right now, end times prophecy taking place almost on a daily basis. And that pastor spent like 3 weeks on I think it was like 1 Corinthians. It was like Paul's letter to the church of Corinthians about how to start a church and how the church should function. And I'm like, dude, that's great. People should read that on their own, but you've got a congregation here and we are in the end days. And you're talking about setting up a church, what Paul told people. How about Revelation? How about Daniel? How about Ezekiel? How about Genesis? Let's get into where we're at now and things that are relevant. And so I stopped going because I wasn't getting anything out of it. But yeah, it's sad. Even like I said, out here, good people, pastors super nice, but they're just on a different wavelength. You realize what's happening in the world right now, and you're not talking about anything relevant to what these people should be doing. And you're talking about what Paul told a church 2,000 years ago. Okay. So, yeah, even the good churches seem broken. The best churches I think you can find are probably people online that hold their own, prayer groups with, 5 or 10 people in them. I think that's the best you can hope for. you find a good church, you're blessed. You're lucky, because I tried two out here in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, one of them was just teaching stuff that's not relevant to today. And the other one turned out it was a very gossipy, backstabbing cliques. And it ended up splitting. And half the people went to another town and they built another church just so they didn't have to go to the church with the other half. It was that I exited right before that because I kind of saw the writing on the wall. It's like, this doesn't seem right. And then that happened, and I was like, I don't know. But I had gone to this other church at that time, and then over time, like I said, the people are great. There's none of that weirdness, but I need to be studying Revelation, Daniel, Ezekiel, Matthew right now, because that's the times we're in. But I never liked the idea of another man telling me what the Bible says. I think everyone should pray for discernment, ask the Holy Spirit to make what they're reading clear. And that's how you should learn, not by some guy who has ulterior motives. Like, yeah, he probably is very godly man, but it's a business. They got rent, they got electricity, they got to pay bills. And so it's too much of the material world inside the church. And it's easier just to find a quiet place somewhere with the Bible itself and say, Holy Spirit, guide me through what I'm about to read, explain it to me, and then just read. And I think anytime you include another man in anything, that's when Satan can creep in. All right, man, I'm going to let everybody go. Like I said, I just wanted to say that if you have any ideas for future videos, I will be more than happy. Just put it in the comments, and I will, like I said, even if it's one I made 5, 6, 7 years ago, I'll just make a new one. And at least that'll push it up to the top of the videos on my page. So everybody take care. God bless. And keep your head on a swivel, because things are about to get weird. Put all faith in Christ. And he told us no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So just give it to him and watch the show, because it's about to start. Peace.